Good morning. This meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors now called to order, and we'll begin by asking, are there any additions to the agenda?
Chairman, there are additions to the agenda for you and the board to consider. It's legislation season, and there are two requests that came to the county's attention after the agenda was posted, and they do have hearing dates scheduled that will occur before the next board meeting. So there's a request to add each one as a subsequent need item. The first is it's a support letter for SB 17, and that has to do with the homelessness experience in California. And the other is AB 412, and that is related to a hospital emergency loan program. So it's
So let's take up
Senator
these items
Vieto's letter.
separately as additions. SB 17 request. Go ahead.
I make a motion due to the urgency of the matter to add that to our agenda.
Okay, it rose after the posting of the agenda. There's second.
Second.
Motion second. Any comment from the public? Anyone online? Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Okay, AB 412.
And that letter was signed, so it's a request for the board to ratify the sending of this letter on
Okay.
April 12th. More details to follow.
Okay, so do I hear a pleasure of the board?
Move to add the item due
Okay.
to the urgency and
Those after
Everyone
the
else.
posting of the agenda?
Yeah.
And I'll
Okay.
second.
Motion made in second. Any comment from the public? Anyone online? Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Okay, so we'll go to our closed session items and ask County Council to read those into the agenda, please.
Yes, Chairman, members of the board, there are 5 items for your closed session. The first is under Government Code Section 54957.6. That's conference with your labor negotiator. Your agency designated representative is Susan Carter and Joel Bugay. The employee organization is all units, and it includes unrepresented employees, all classifications excluding elected officials. There are 4 existing litigation matters under Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection D1. The first is a U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Eastern District of California matter in regards to Madera Community Hospital. And that Fresno Division case number is 23-1045-7A11. And the other 3 are related to water legislation in California and all the matters under the Madera County Groundwater Sustainability Agency. The plaintiff in that case is Madera Irrigation District and their Groundwater Sustainability Agency. It's a Madera County Superior Court case. There's another with MID versus the County of Madera. Those case numbers are different, 86277 and 87598. And the last is Valley Groundwater Coalition versus the County of Madera, MCV 087677. Thank you. And Roman Noriega is also a designated representative under labor matter enclosed. Thanks.
Okay. Any comment from the public on these closed session items? Anyone online? If not, we'll retire to closed session. We're back from closed session. County Council, do we have anything to report from closed session?
Members of the board, there are no actions from closed session. However, all the items weren't able to be taken at the first session, and the recommendation would be to recess back to closed session when you call it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This morning, we're going to open and close in memory of Pete Najjar, who was he's the owner of Tackle Box in Madera, out in my district. He was also the chairman of the Planning Commission and my appointee to the Planning Commission as well. And Pete was a great guy. Really appreciated his community involvement, his great demeanor and beautiful personality, a wonderful man. I was reminded that he was also the chairman of the Assessment Appeals Board. So he's quite involved in the community. Pete was on vacation to the Punjab, returning home on the plane. They said he went to sleep and never woke up. So what a peaceful way to make a transition from this world. And our prayers go out to his family and friends. And he certainly will be missed in this community. Had a great impact. Anyone else have anything to say or any person to add to that? So this morning we remember Pete Najjar and his family. We have with us Mike from 4th Street, and come forward and do the invocation. Remember the family in prayer, please. And then I'll ask Ralph Pistreski to lead us in the flag salute. We're so grateful for the blessings you've given to us. We thank you for this great place that you've given us the privilege to live. Today, Lord, we want to lift up this family, awesome, loved one, Lord. Lord is also grateful for Board of Supervisors. Ask that you bless them today as they look ahead to the business of the county. Grant them the wisdom they need, the clarity of thought, expedience, and everything that goes on. That we're so grateful. Then pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation for God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ralph. This time we'll have public comment. First 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record. First speaker. Can you turn the mic on, please? Just push the button on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Roberta Tackett. I'm president of the Friends of the Oakhurst Branch Library, and we're here to thank you for our parking lot. I'd like to introduce our executive board. This is Paul, Vice President, and the Chairman of our Building Committee, Pam Thompson, who's in charge of all our communications, and Randy Thompson, our treasurer. Pam is going to give you more about our appreciation.
Go ahead.
I'm not a public speaker, so forgive me.
That's okay.
Phobal is so pleased that we finally have our much needed parking lot. And I want to thank different employees of the, sorry, I have to have notes, of the General Services Department, but especially Krista Riggs, our librarian, who I coordinated with throughout the process of, she also had to coordinate with general services to get the ball rolling. And I want to thank Anthony. Anthony is here, Anthony Loza, and Jorge Mendoza. And Michael Nazaroff. They were both, the whole team was just really on it. The minute we started talking about the parking lot, which had potholes like this, they really jumped right on it. And I also want to thank Amber Mojica. And we greatly appreciated, and the coordination among the general services people and Krista especially. I just had to send out an email like, where are we in the process? And Krista got back to me right away. She would, come on, and she would contact Jorge, who also got back to her right away. And the whole thing just went, bam, just really smoothly. And now we have it. And I just want to thank you so much, because we finally have a much needed parking lot.
Makes us smile to hear these kind of comments, and appreciate the accolades for our great staff, because
Yeah.
they do an excellent job.
Yeah,
And don't always get recognized for that. So it's nice.
exactly.
It's nice that you've taken the time to come and make those kind of comments. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Appreciate it so much.
Yeah. And I'm glad to be here.
Let's give all concerned a round of applause. That's really.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to say, Bob?
Yeah, I would just add that, thanks to the Phobal group for being so active, with the gardening and being involved, with planning, the future of the library, very busy site, and you guys do a lot of tremendous work in collaboration with the team there. So thanks to you. Thanks to you for all your work.
Good morning, board. Good morning, community. My name is Hector Madrigal. I'm the Lieutenant Commander for Madero CHP, and today I'm here to recognize an amazing traffic safety partnership the CHP had with CAL FIRE. CAL FIRE represented here, District 6 Caltrans. Caltrans represented here, and also with the Board of Supervisors, specifically Supervisor Leticia Gonzalez and her staff. I'm presenting certificates of community service for the collaboration of the Madera Regional Campaign Against Impaired Drivers Grant that we were awarded by the Office of Traffic Safety. Together, we formed an alliance. We conducted traffic safety presentations in the community. We identified engineering methods and improvements, as well as rapidly responded to emergency incidents involving DUI crashes. The main goal was to reduce DUI crashes by conducting saturation patrols with our officers. And during the grant, which ran October 1 of 21 to September 30th of 22, the CHP officers arrested 624 DUI drivers. So we were busy. That involved 199 specific DUI saturation patrols. We issued 1,004 citations for different moving violations, 484 verbal warnings, and provided 145 motorist services. On the presentation side, we conducted 16 presentations out in the public, reached 3,600 persons. And on the social media side, we reached 10,000 people with our different posts. So today I'm presenting certificates to the Board of Supervisors and to Caltrans District 6 and also CAL FIRE.
Great.
Come on.
Go ahead.
Really?
So thank you. As they return to their seats, I'd like to announce in 2 weeks, I'll be officially retired. So after 29 years of service, and I'd like to introduce to the board my replacement, Lieutenant Commander Ian Olguin.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ian Olguin. Born and raised Central California, so Central California is my home. Before the CHP, I was a captain in the United States Army's 10th Mountain Division. I've been on the department for about 15 years, worked commercial, special operations, but it's always been a goal of mine to get my own command. So this is a unique opportunity. And I want to just thank Hector for being so successful. I look forward to working with you guys and building on the success that Hector's already done.
Thank you.
Hector, you come back, we're gonna recognize you in some way. And I just want to say thank you for the involvement you've had in our community, keeping us safe, the work you've done. I hope you have a wonderful retirement and enjoy yourself. Anybody else?
And when's your official retirement date?
May 2nd,
Nice.
2 weeks from today. Who's counting?
That's our board meeting. Are you going to be around? Or are you going to be off doing your own celebrations?
There's a luncheon plan at work, so I'll be busy eating tacos.
All right.
We'll
I
make
heard
sure-
you could be here in the morning. That's what I heard.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You bet.
It's
And,
been
you
such
have-
a pleasure working with you, Hector. Thank you for everything. You're going to be missed.
Thank you for the support.
All right. Next speaker.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Ralph Pistoresi. I wanted to address the board this morning regarding a matter that happened last meeting. I don't think you were here, Chairman. There were issues that came up on a consent calendar. I'm not very familiar with how the consent calendar works. I think it would be a great idea before you go through a consent calendar, you spend about 30 seconds explaining to everybody exactly how it works. We're not all familiar with it. But there were 2 items, J and K, more particularly item K, that I was concerned about. I'll read it. It says, Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Water and Natural Resources Department. Consideration of entering into an agreement with Zengero, Inc. in the amount of $964,000 to write a multi-benefit agricultural land repurposing plan and authorize the chairman to sign. All right. Well, a question I never got answered, I didn't get a chance to ask it. But what I'm concerned about is when you write these up, this thing should read probably like your item F and your item H do. Consideration of approval. Consideration of approval. Because this, what you voted on was just to consider it. You really didn't vote to approve it. And I think when the items come up that are approaching $1 million, it's worthy of the time to spend a little time and discuss what is it that they're doing? What is it that we're getting for $1 million? Because if I read this correctly, all this engineering company has to do is just write up a plan. Doesn't have to be a good plan. Doesn't have to be a plan that'll work. Doesn't have to be a plan that makes sense. Just to be a plan. And we have to see if the people that wrote up this plan, if they were employed earlier and wrote up other plans that never really panned out. So I think it needs more eyes on. More, what are we getting for what we're paying for? Now, these other ones required a vote, and this one just went along with the consent calendar. Maybe it's because this was grant money, I'm not sure. One question would be, is there any other place we could spend this grant money? Grant money sometimes comes easy and is given away too easily. So this is what I'm concerned about. The language needs to be a little bit more clear and questions need to be asked a little bit more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Mr. Chairman, can I address that?
I'll let you-
Ralph, I did pull that item because I flagged it that it was almost $1 million contract. So we did pull it. No, we approved it, but there was some
Yeah, separate
discussion.
discussion.
The item, right? And then you had one of the gals from the Natural Resource Department who was speaking about this far from the mic, I couldn't even understand what she was saying. All right. So did you decide at that meeting to approve the $1 million?
Yes, we did.
You did?
But noted your comments because I had some concerns about almost $1 million contract being on the consent. So, and I made a statement.
Exactly.
And I asked that all stakeholder input. I have to go back and rehear what I said, but I did ask to ensure because it's such a,
It's $1 million. It's a lot of money. And there's another item on today's agenda that we're going to address too. Thank you.
thank you.
Just to do some informational things on the consent calendar. When we get to that point, I'll discuss that. Okay, next speaker.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Christina Beckstead, Executive Director, Madera County Farm Bureau. I just wanted to take a moment to let the board and the public know that on May 7th, we have our mimosas at the Ma Hills and brunch, which is a brunch which includes sangria. So in addition to the advocacy work that Madera County Farm Bureau does, we also do award scholarships. This year, we awarded 16 scholarships to high school students totaling $70,000. So we awarded three scholarships totaling $6,000 to be paid out over 4 years and 13 scholarships to students for $4,000 each paid out over 4 years as well. So if anyone's interested, we have that coming up May 7th. It's mimosas at the Ma Hills, brunch and sangria from 11 to 2. And you can contact us at the Farm Bureau for tickets. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May 7th, that's is noon? 11 to 2?
May 7th, 11 to 2. And at that time, we will also recognize all of the students that were awarded their scholarships.
Thank you very much for the heads up. And the work that Farm Bureau does as well. I appreciate it. Next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Coronado. I'm with CAPMC Victim Services. And I wanted to share our annual Victims Memorial Display. In honor of Crime Victims' Rights Week, we'll have our display available for viewing this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. and Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. at Community Action, which is 1225 Gill Avenue. On Thursday, we'll also be recognizing 4 individuals that have gone above and beyond serving victims of crime. We're recognizing Jeff DuProst from the District Attorney's Office, Janet Hudak, an interpreter for Madera County Superior Court, Olga Grosh, immigration attorney, and Detective Michaela Plummer with the Madera County Sheriff's Office. And following the award ceremony, we'll also have a prayer and balloon release for victims and survivors of crime.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for sharing that information. I have a proclamation here on behalf of the members of the board recognizing National Crime Victims' Rights Week, which is April 23rd through the 29th. And I understand that Victim Services has lots of different activities and to bring awareness to our local crime victims. I believe, I don't know if you still do it, where you go to Sacramento, you have an advocacy day, and there's a big demonstration over at the Capitol, which is very moving if you haven't attended that. But just like a little side note, this was the first introduction I had to the county when I was an advocate over at Victim Services. We held an event, the National Crime Victims' Rights Week here in Madera County. That was my first introduction to the previous board. And so we have this proclamation recognizing you and your agency and all of the partner agencies that assist our crime victims, some of our most vulnerable people. So if the board would like to come down with me and present the certificate to Jennifer, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Supervisor Gonzalez. Appreciate those recognitions of the hard work people do. Any further public comment? Anyone online? Okay. We're going to move to consent calendar. And before I do that, I'm just going to read that what goes with consent calendar, and that Mr. Pistoresi brought this up, so I think it's important to understand it. Consent calendar for items considered routine in nature, and they're placed on consent calendar. They will all be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a member requests individual consideration and the item is pulled to speak on and discuss and vote on separately or for additional comment. A board member's vote in favor of the consent calendar is considered and recorded as a separate affirmative vote in favor of each action listed. So usually it's for routine items that we face. And I think that the item was properly pulled and discussed. Would have been the same as though it were listed separately on the agenda when it's pulled like that. So I think that was a good point. You had something you wanted to say?
Oh, no, is that members of the public will have an opportunity to weigh in even on those items that are on the consent calendar.
Right.
And I
Always.
know you were here last time, but I think you just missed that portion, or maybe we didn't give enough time for you to come up to the podium. So, but yeah, anyone will have the opportunity to provide public comment on those items that are on the consent calendar.
Right. That's always, there's always opportunity to speak on every item presented to the board. We always give that public time, even closed session items that are listed on the agenda. I will ask before we go into closed session, is there any public comment on closed session items or any item that come before us at the appropriate time? We even allow for items that are not on the agenda to be brought forth and discussed under public comment. So there's always an appropriate time for the public to speak. And always, it's never inappropriate for you to come before the board and ask questions or speak on any item. We want to hear your comments. And that's your right to redress grievance. That's a constitutional right to redress grievance and to be able to make your comment and your thoughts known. So a good day to do that with all these students here. You're hearing your constitutional rights in progress as we go through this meeting. Always feel free to talk to this board because we represent you, the public. Thank you. Good comments from each one. Thank you. We'll move to consent calendar at this time. Is there any item that any board member would like to have removed for separate discussion?
Yeah, Chair. I'm looking at items A, B, C, D, and N.
A, B, C, D, and N?
Correct.
Okay. So you want to pull those for separate discussion?
Just had a couple questions
Okay.
on A. I'm not sure if there's anybody from behavioral health here that might be able to answer questions on that.
Don't see anybody.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Connie, the director, is online.
Okay. Very good.
Thanks, Connie. Can you hear me?
Maybe while we're getting that situation straightened out. so
Yes,
she
good
can
morning.
Comment, let's ask about the others.
Sure.
Item B.
Yes.
B, C, and
Jamie
D are all
Bass.
kind of related.
What is the
in
question,
regards to
sir?
the Riverstone project, and I was just hoping staff might be able to give us some more information about that, kind of inform the public about what's going on there with those items.
Would be happy to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jamie Bax with Community and Economic Development. B, C, and D are all final subdivision maps. Technically, they're considered ministerial type approvals. They don't require a public hearing. What we're doing is your board is considering those maps consistent with the tentative maps that were approved by the Planning Commission in the past. So public hearings were held on those tentative maps. These final maps also have improvement agreements. So all of the improvements that go along with the subdivisions will be built in accordance with Public Works requirements. So that's what we're doing here with these final maps. They're all consistent with the specific plan that was approved back in 2007 along with that EIR. So it's nothing in addition to anything that wasn't already approved.
Perfect. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know, is Connie, can you hear us? Are you there? Euler? We will, I guess, item N, Department of
Yeah.
Social Services. I don't know if Deborah or anybody here.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
Can you,
He's coming.
while he's.
Can you hear
waiting
me
for,
okay?
Her to come forward, can we contact her by phone?
We've messaged her. I don't, said, okay, camera. I don't know what that means.
Is Joel aware of,
Oh, maybe Joel.
Joe may have some background.
There you go. Okay. Very good. Come ahead, Deborah. Item N.
Yeah, it's the contract with CAPMC regarding the evidence-based parenting classes. And I was just hoping you might be able to provide us a little more information on that, how the public may be able to access those classes. Are they referred in or can they call in? And
Turn on your mic there.
Apparently not. Apologies, I'm under the weather. So hopefully I'm going to be clear, but it is a prevention service, so they can contact us at our general number on our and through the website, and they can contact CAPMC in order to, there's two different programs, obviously, and so one's more generated for the families, the other one for the children, but it's a continuous multi-week and something that is evidence-based and is something that we're going to be even expanding even further. There is some federal dollars that are going to be coming that we're setting up plans for now in terms of getting community input. And it has to be evidence-based. So we really do encourage other community-based organizations to be listening in, because the reality is CAPMC does a wonderful job. But we want to also bring up other CBOs who might be interested in bringing other prevention services to our community. But it's a wonderful program, both those are. And we use them frequently. And so, yes, contacting us or contacting CAPMC.
perfect. Thanks, Deborah. And I hope you feel better soon.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Mark.
And then item A, I don't know if Connie's on or if Joel might be able to answer questions, but I think the contract is retroactive back to 2022, and typically, those don't come before the board, but I was just hoping we could explain to the public why we're going back. I think it's tied to the hospital closure, so.
Exactly, Supervisor. So Fresno County and Madera County are separate mental health plans for Medi-Cal, Medicare. And for severely mental illness, those mental health plans provided for those residents. With the closure of MCH going back to the final days of 2022, Connie had worked with her counterpart in Fresno County to make arrangements so that our 5150s get seen by their crisis system in Fresno. So they've been coordinating. This MOU is required between the two mental health plans to allow billing for those services, because technically we're separate mental health plans.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I have no further questions.
Okay,
I have
go ahead.
and strictly for discussion purposes with water and natural resources with the questions that came up. I'd like to pull O, P, and Q.
All right. So we can, you want to vote on those separately and deal with them separately? or-
Just,
Here I
just for
am.
discussion purposes, describe what they are
Sure.
and give us, some folks who are in the room the ability to hear more about them.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Okay. O is the David's Engineering and Ludorf Scalmanini proposal for additional revisions on the Chowchilla Subbasin. Basically, all you're doing is you're approving the scope.
Right.
It's already in process. You're not approving money, a contract, anything like that, just the scope of it moving forward with the Chowchilla Group. So that's the first one. The second two, P and Q, are basically the same. You've already approved two contracts a couple months back. This is to go with the multi-benefit land repurposing project. It's part of a grant, and it is bringing partners together. There's 4 partners on this grant, as well as the one mentioned earlier, the consultant, Zanjero. But it's 4 partners. And what it is giving them a contract to do outreach and education. So along with Zanjero, who's also doing outreach and education for this grant, this project, and putting this plan together, there's 2 parts. One is all the workshops before to put the plan together, and then one is after doing all the workshops and meetings to do the project. So it's both, but it's all grant. It's a multi-benefit grant through Department of Conservation.
And Jeannie, are the guidelines on that grant, are they pretty specific, or would we have a, ability to move those funds around to different projects?
Very
or-
specific. This one, multi-benefit, is for the land repurposing through Department of Conservation. So totally different than one you're going to be hearing about today, which is with the Department of Water Resources. So there's 2 different land repurposing projects. And as with any grant, you have specific things you can do with the funding. You can't just use it for anything once it comes in. And so if you look at the backup to any of these consent items, you'll see the backup items that says the budget. We always include the budget and what's going on with the scope of work and all of that. So in that budget, we have 150,000 for each for 4 partners. Well, actually 3 partners. One has 30,000. But to do outreach and education throughout the communities and their partners throughout their communities to bring more people in.
Okay, so Madera Ag Water Association and Madera County Farm Bureau, they were specifically included in the grant writing, correct?
In the application.
In the application,
Right.
yes, okay.
Yes, they're included in the application. They actually both have, they've both chosen to go with a 1-year contract with an option to then continue because it's a 3-year project.
Thank you.
Mhm.
This is conservation easement. This isn't the DWR land repurposing, but these are conservation.
You'll hear about that one later, the DWR one,
Right.
which is the land flex.
I just
we-
don't want people to get confused because we've got 2 separate items.
Yes,
This is-
we
this-
do.
This one is about conservation easements.
Yes. And this one it's land repurposing.
Right.
So it's finding another thing. It could be, well, there's a list of them, the things that they can do with land repurposing.
It's my good friend Norm Allender gave me a talk about these some time ago. And I remember he was always concerned about putting land into these conservation easements. And maybe Matt can regurgitate some of what he also knows on this. But it's something that really hinders the use of that land in the long term, long run. And so we need to be careful of what specifically we do with that land.
Well, keep in mind, even when this plan is written, it
voluntary.
has to come, it's voluntary.
Right.
And it has to come before the board to be approved.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
and any of the projects have to go to be approved. So,
Okay,
Okay.
Matt, would you like to say something about that real quick? Sorry to put you on the spot, but I knew he knew what I was talking about the second I brought it up.
Yeah, excuse me, Matt Treber, Development Services. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Mr. Allender and I have had similar conversations. So these are very different. And I don't want to speak for Mr. Allender, who's not here. He may be
Right,
listening.
right.
But these are not, those concerns we've seen have been driven by other entities and organizations, and it is permanent prohibition on any type development in those things. This is, a 10-year at the max end type, and again, it's voluntary, and the board ultimately would approve those things. So it is different, and I've had those, but I'm aware, and we have had some discussions with some entities and organizations interested in, ag type conservations and buffers and those aspects. And so that is certainly something to be tracking and watching, but this is separate and apart from, I believe, Mr. Allender's main concern on that point.
Super. I
Yep.
appreciate that input. That puts my mind at ease. Thank you. Okay, any further comment on the consent calendar? Comment from the public, Mr. Ressi?
Yes, I'd like to address the same issues. Item P and item Q. Okay. From what it says here, and I think it's more money than this. This is the beginning amount of money. This is the amount of money to put on Zoom conferences, outreach is what I understand it to be. The optics don't look too good from my standpoint, because it looks as though money is being offered to these agricultural groups in a way to kind of bring them on board with whatever is wanting to be presented. And I know I've been a member of the Farm Bureau before. People volunteer their time because we all have skin in this game, and we want the right thing to happen. So I think that it doesn't look right that we have a grant giving money, trying to corral, like herd the cattle together to put them in the same pen. I think what we can do is the Farm Bureau can have these Zoom meetings on their own dime. MAWA can conduct these own meetings on their own dime. This money is just being, really, it's being wasted. I don't know if this money can be put to any other use. Maybe it can't, all right? But it doesn't look right. And these groups were invited to participate in this, maybe because of the behavior that they presented previously. I don't know. We don't know, but it doesn't look right. And I think we need to take a very serious look at how we do things, where money is spent, and because the public perception sometimes doesn't look right. I would say that a lot of this should be community effort upon these organizations' part, and there's no need for compensation. Thank you.
Well, just to address that from my thoughts, if you don't mind, and that is that the reason they were invited to participate in this because they have access to the membership that would benefit from this program or not benefit from it. And they're better equipped to be in a position to educate those members on what this really is. And there's a significant amount of time going to be spent doing that. It's all documented, the time that's involved in putting out the energy, the efforts, the community meetings. There are a list of requirements that go with implementing the grant that will be involved in them having these public outreach events. So, and it's something that would cost the county a tremendous amount of time. We don't have the staffing to do it. We don't have the ability to do it like they do. And so we've invited other NGOs, community organizations who have a better access to the people who would actually benefit from the program to outreach to those things. We've done this before, and it's been very successful and largely more beneficial than if the county tries to do it themselves. A lot of times we put out information and somebody sees the county name on it and they just, they shove it aside as, oh, just another county thing or whatever. But if their own membership, their own organization reaches out to them, they're a little more attentive and they pick up on it quicker and they know who to reach. We don't. They've got that ability and it's already set up for them. So we'd rather pay them to do the process than to encumber county staff and time, which we don't really have to do that. That's the reason.
Well, I would suggest that sometimes it's better to ask them if they would do it gratis. Because I know that our organization, we put on all kinds of meetings and we don't charge a dime for any meeting. And I think, they should have at least been asked, are you willing to participate in this? Would you do this, on your own?
Essentially, the grant provides for that outreach. So we're going to receive the money for the outreach. We'd rather them receive it than to not utilize it.
I'd suggest
It's
that,
required part of the grant.
yeah, a lot of these meetings are all Zoom and they're very kind of impersonal and not too feely touchy. I think we need to have public meetings and they need to be public and the people need to be there.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come ahead.
Good morning, Ryan Jones. I'd like to touch on a subject that I assume the board is not aware of. And the California United Water Coalition, we scheduled and met with the Farm Bureau at one of their meetings. And we were looking for, joining a coalition and effort to begin to figure out a way or a path for, equilibrium in this county. And at that meeting, we were told, the California United Water Coalition was told by the Farm Bureau that they were not going to offer any help. That the situation with the white area was part of the Sigma, and it was
Is this
law.
in regards to the items that we're discussing, or?
Well, it was regards to the coalition attempting to begin a dialogue with the Farm Bureau in matters concerning the water, the ground repurposing, the things that are going on in this community. And we were told that there was no help for us. We were left with the feeling that the Farm Bureau was picking winners and losers in the community, and that the white area was on their own. The farmers in the white area would have to navigate through it and begin to, shut their businesses down, things of this nature. So funding the Farm Bureau, when the California United Water Coalition, which represents hundreds of farmers and thousands of acres in this community, we were left with, you're on your own. That we're not here to help you. So I think that's a troubling situation. And I think the Board of Supervisors should consider funding the Farm Bureau when hundreds of farmers in this community, and remember, the white area represents over 80,000 acres here in Madera, is told by the Farm Bureau that they're not here to help our coalition. And our coalition, yet it's not strictly related to the ground repurposing, but it's all part of the process with the goal of the coalition to reach equilibrium and keep farmers in business here. Remember what ground repurposing represents to the community. If I take ground out of production and my neighbor takes ground out of the production, we let employees go. Those are people that work and spend their money in this community. So how much ground repurposing do we want to do? How many people do we want to be on unemployment in this community? I would assume the goal would be the opposite. Ground repurposing means that there's portions of our land that will set idle. We do not need people to work on ground that is forced to be set idle. That means the people currently working there don't have a job. That's extremely troubling to me.
Troubling, but inevitable, I'm afraid.
Well, there's always a better path.
Well,
With
it's-
with effort and put our minds together and our efforts together, we can figure things out. There is a path for equilibrium with the water in this community. There is a path for that, but we've got to want it. We've got to put the effort into achieving it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's only one aspect of the plan. There's multiple aspects of the plan. Part of it is repurposing land. That's one option.
Yeah, and you know, maybe the Farm Bureau can comment on the California United Water Coalition was left with, we're not here to help you,
Thank you.
that you're on your own. So maybe the Farm Bureau can.
Thank you for your comment. I
on that.
think she's right behind you.
That's perfectly fine. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Morning.
Good morning again. Thank you once again for the opportunity. Christina Beckstead, Executive Director, Madera County Farm Bureau, to address items, I guess specifically item Q, as it relates to Madera County Farm Bureau. So Farm Bureau engaged in this process. Obviously, we were contacted by the county, but we have been in direct communication with our state and federal agencies through this entire SIGMA process since the beginning. And it has been crucial through this entire process that we remain engaged on behalf of the farmers in an effort to keep farmers farming. When this program launched, or when they started talking about it at the state level, one of the concerns that DWR had was to ensure that those that were going to be impacted by it, that they were part of the process and that they had, they actively participated and that it was ensured that the process helped and benefited them. So when this opportunity presented itself, we agreed to participate. It was a very heated discussion at our board because this is not something that we normally talk about, right? At the end of the day, as I said, our role is to keep farmers farming, and that's what we have been trying to do. But in today's California political climate and the bureaucratic nonsense that we do deal with, there are certain realities that we do have to face. And the only way that we move forward through those is strategically. And so to be at the table and to be the right people at the table was the only way to participate in and to ensure that the things are getting done the correct way. So Farm Bureau agreed to participate in this program. That said, I wanted to point out a couple of things. The multi-benefit land repurposing program is a 10-year easement on those properties. It's not a maximum, it's the minimum. There are people, and it is not necessarily that you are going to give up farming on that land. It's potentially that you are going to create a multi-benefit on whatever that farmland is. So maybe you go into dryland farming and you create habitat or pollinator or whatever the situation might be. But that is where we come into play and that we are trying to ensure that the right applications apply to that land so that we can go back, right, to Norm Allender's point that we've talked about time and time again over the last 7 years that I've been here, is to make sure that we can go back to farm it when things change. So we have done our best and continue to work very hard. I was on a state water board call before I came to this meeting to make sure that our farmers are represented in the right ways and that they're getting the benefit they can, because right now they're forced to do things that they don't want to do and it's costing them. And so here's an opportunity to maybe to monetize the things that they don't want to do, at least for a short period of time, so that they can continue to maintain their land, so that they can farm it one day again. And so we are hopeful that we can do that. Now that said, Farm Bureau, throughout all of this COVID nonsense, despite having everything shut down, yes, we went to hybrid meetings, but we have never gone to a strictly Zoom meeting to address some of the comments about how these meetings are all Zoom.
Right.
We have never gone to strictly Zoom. Everything that we did do very quickly was we did shift to a hybrid version of meetings. Our intention is not to do Zoom meetings. Those are not beneficial in from my standpoint. I will say that through the process, as we did have meetings, even during the COVID window of time, we still did get a lot of people that came in person. Obviously, we followed COVID guidelines and made sure that everyone stayed and maintained their safe distances and whatnot. However, we do plan to make sure that we get out into the community and make sure that the right farmers and the people that do want to participate. I will also point out, this is not specific to the white area. This is a county-wide program.
Right.
So as you will talk about later, the program that you're going to be hearing about, that is specific. It's, well, I don't think that one's specific to white area too, although it is probably geared more towards white area. This one does cover the entire basin. So people within districts, out of districts can participate in this program. And I will remind everyone that the Farm Bureau represents all farmers in Madera County, despite them being members or not members. So I would love to do lots of things, and we do a lot on a gratis basis, but we don't have the funding because we don't charge a per acre assessment. We don't normally get grant funding. We are membership based, and then everything else that we do bring in is based on fundraising that we do. So this grant will provide the funding that we need to do that public outreach and engagement and make sure that the plan that's being written by Zanjero, or however you say the name, is being done in a way that is beneficial to the growers and that they are adequately represented as that plan is developed and implemented. So
I
thank
really
you.
appreciate your comments because you codified very well exactly why it's important that you guys do this. You're reaching out to all farmers, not just one set of farmers in one area or one in another area, but all farmers in Madera County because you represent all farming in Madera County. Am I right about that?
That's correct.
And not to get specific, but you're not required to join forces with another entity. That doesn't have any basis for what you're doing here. So in this regard, you're reaching out to everyone.
Correct. And in most of the work that we do, we do try to do our best to partner with all of our working partners and agencies and organizations and have great working relationships up and down the state and federally. So.
Right. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for Christine?
No, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr.
All right.
Chair, I move to approve the consent, and I'd like to add one final comment. This goes back to a comment that I made months ago that these water items are important and at times get contentious and lengthy. And that's why I've requested that we have these water items on a separate agenda.
That's true.
I'll second.
Motion made in second. Any further discussion? Any comment online? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhaugh.
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you. I'm sure Stephanie will remember the next time we have items on water, we'll put them on a
Chair,
regular agenda.
could we take a quick 2-minute break?
Yes, we can.
Appreciate it.
We'll recess for 2 minutes.
And can we take?
Hello, test. Testing, chambers. Chamber test. Test, test. Chamber test. Test, test. Chamber. Chamber. Chamber test, test. Test. Chamber, chamber test. Testing, testing, testing. Chambers. Test, test, test. Chambers, testing chambers. Chambers. Test, test, test. Testing. 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 Chambers test. Testing. 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 Chambers. Chambers. Testing. 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 Test. 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 Testing. 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 Test. 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 Can you hear me? Anyone? Testing. 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 They can't hear me. This is so painful. Testing. 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 Testing.
Oh, you're testing us on?
Because we could hear Connie, but they couldn't. Like testing. Test. Testing. Testing. Test. 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 Testing. Testing. Testing.
Thank you, Angie.
Got it. Thank you.
Angie, can you hear me? And my computer just goes.
Thanks very much. Yeah, probably. I think that's what's going to probably happen. Okay, we're coming back to our meeting after a brief recess. That, am I talking to myself?
You have to do the go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I need to bring it down. Okay, this meeting is reconvened. And I'm going to take one item out of order 6B so I can get these young men on the road back to their classrooms. I'm sure you're thrilled about that. You guys got to see a little of the republic in action today. I didn't say democracy because we're a republic, and republic is representative government. So you have the opportunity to address representatives. There's a big difference between a pure democracy and a republic. You can figure that out in your class. What is that? Political science class. Anyway, thank you for being here today. And we want to recognize these young men on their achievements for an outstanding season. And who's going to take charge of that right now? We have a proclamation or something. We have certificates, surely. Oh, here we do. Oh, you did give me crypt notes here. I'm just missing it.
Good job, Matt.
I got so entangled in the other discussions, I lost place of where I'm at. Okay, well, we just want to recognize these outstanding young men for their 2023 outstanding season highlights. They won the Division 5 championship. That's a big deal. And then First Madera Unified School to win a Central Section championship in 60 years. How does that feel, huh? How does that feel? We had a couple of players, Isaiah Ford and Daniel Valdez. They made all league teams. And then Daniel Valdez was also the MVP of the all Madera team. So that's awesome. So we want to invite all of you up. We're going to take a picture with you. You've already got your certificates, I'm assuming. So that's great. Thank you, Chief of Staff, for keeping me straight. Matt Skolnick, great guy. Yeah, we want the coach. Would you like to say something before we bring these boys up? And right over here to the podium. Thanks.
So it says push. That makes sense. Just wanted to thank the board for having us. I can see that you have a lot more pressing issues than us, so I appreciate you spending the time to honor us. We're very proud of this group of kids right here. Went through a lot of adversity, and we peaked at the right time, and really had a good run in the playoffs. I was not aware of the 60-year, I guess 1963 was the last time that happened, until the end of the game. Obviously, we're super proud to represent Madera in that sense. We're excited to try and do it again in the next year or two, for sure.
Awesome.
So I do want to acknowledge we got 8 seniors total that were on this team, and they're all graduating in June, and really expecting great things from them, in their lives and their future careers. So again, thanks for having us.
Great. Let me just say to you young men that what you do now in your life will reverberate the rest of your life. And it is this winning team that you're a part of will be a guiding force. You're going to remember this, and everything you do, you're going to look back on it. And you're going to say, I can do it. I can win. I can win in life. I won as a team. I can use those same principles and the same character that I used to win in a basketball team that I'll use to win in my life. And there's nothing that can stop me. Nothing can defeat me. I'm going to win. I'm going to climb up and be the best I can be. You do that. Thank you.
I also wanted to say something, this is why I love sports so much, right? Because you don't just win the championship. Winning the championship is a result of everything that you've done from the time you were little until this championship. So, and this is such a great metaphor for life. If you want to get to where you want to be, it takes, I'm sure you can remember all those practices where you were gassed, all those practices where you worked on every single little fundamental, and it was with consistency with that goal and being consistent, you guys got there. So just carry that through, especially you seniors. Sky's the limit. Just got to work hard, work at it.
Maybe better, no? Oh, you want to, there's too many now, you may. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Squeeze in everybody. Oh. Yeah, you gotta do this down here, man. Very small land, we good. We need a front row. All you gonna do is something. You're in the back. Yeah, no, that's good. Good guy. So one guy go back there. Yeah.
Turn
Okay,
slightly
great.
sideways on the guy's back.
Okay, ready, guys, huh?
Ready?
Let me-
2, 3.
One more time. Let me get it close there. You begin. Thank you. That's good. I want to take a picture with the team too. Hey, take a picture with the team, come on.
Okay, another picture of the team.
Rob, come in. Rob, come in, Rob.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Take a picture with the team.
One more picture. Hey, Nick.
Don't go in. No, my turn. No, my guy. No, my guy. My son. There you go.
All right, ready? Yeah. There we go. All right, ready? 1, 2.
Thank you. Oh, I'm gonna be good now. Thank you. Yeah, I do, man. You know, the little.
Tried to bowl the other day. That was a joke. I can barely move. All right. Item 6A.
Presentation of a certificate recognizing Ignacio Magos for his 29 years of service to the Courthouse Park Restoration Committee.
Hey. Paneling. Is he here? There he is. Oh, there he is.
I think that our former assessor is going to say a few words.
There you go.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Kidwell and past chairman of the Courthouse Park Restoration Committee. And I would very much like to thank the board for recognizing Ignacio Magos for his many years of service on that committee. Going back to when Gail Hanhart McIntyre was the chair of the committee, through Ron Domenici, through Rick Farinelli, and now with Robert Poitras as the board's representative to the committee, we have made many, many improvements And just as the young men demonstrated, the things you can do when you have teamwork are incredible. And I think what is seen in the park today stands in recognition of that fact. We started out with Boy Scout Troop 117 putting in horseshoe pits. And the next thing you know, the American Legion Post 11 helped to fund the restrooms in the park. And then the county public defender put in the bandstand and the dance floor. And the Southeast Garden Club helped with their contribution. All these different organizations working to increase the beauty and the pride of our community. Now, recognizing that it's been a team effort, you have key players. And Ignacio Magos was the grounds maintenance supervisor for the county for years and years. And even after his retirement, he continued to be part of the Courthouse Park Restoration Committee. Without his institutional knowledge, we could not have accomplished anything near what we have today. So I join the board in welcoming and congratulating Ignacio, in addition to past chair Gail McIntyre and current chair Bob Winslow.
Thank you, Tom. Give a speech there, Ignacio.
Good morning, Ignacio Magos, 663 Treviso Avenue. Thank you for honoring me today. I'm not one of those that looks for honor. You know, I didn't realize it's been 29 years since we started this park committee. It seems like just yesterday. My 36 years that I put in with the county and those 29 years, part of that, just seemed like it went along. If there was something I loved, it was being a part of the county in the grounds department. When I came to the county, I made it an effort to get out of the fields, and I was given the opportunity. And when my boss left, I worked hard to get his job, and I was given that job. And I hope I did the best job I could. And again, with this park committee, I just enjoyed working with the people that were involved, with the board members that were involved. And, you know, there comes a time in a person's life when you have to kind of set something aside because of health issues. In my family, I've decided it's time for me to move on and let somebody else handle this. So thank you again for your recognition.
Thank you.
Very good. And thank you so much, Ignacio. And we'd like to, you know, recognize Ignacio's family. Thank you. And then I see somebody else named Ignacio looking through the window back there. So it's he's on staff. So the tradition continues. So the legacy continues. So I'd like to ask everybody to join us for a picture and presentation.
Follow in the middle there. Right in the middle. Hang it up.
There.
Come this way. There we go. We got it. Okay, you see it, Tom. Take care, huh? So item 6C.
Discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Placeworks, Inc. in the amount of $397,214 to engage consultant staffing services for preparation of the Madera High Speed Rail Station Transit Area specific plan entitlements for a term of 24 months and authorize the chairman to sign.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jamie Bax with Community and Economic Development. Before you is a proposed contract with Placeworks, Inc. We were excited to receive a proposal from this firm. You may recall we were before your board with an application for this particular grant program with Caltrans. It's the Sustainable Communities Grant Program, which allows for multimodal type development. So we were awarded that grant, and as part of those grant funds, we would then enter into a contract to prepare a specific plan. And the main goal would be to relocate, of course, the Amtrak station from where it is currently located to the Avenue 12 corridor. And then a huge goal, of course, from the San Joaquin Rail Authority to locate a high-speed rail stop in this location. So before you is a proposal for this contract. Placeworks is available online. They were actually very excited to respond to this request because they were familiar with the grant program. And they're really excited to get Caltrans involved in all of the work that they're proposing in their scope of work. So I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Jamie? Anyone from the public have any questions for Jamie? You'd have to come up to the microphone and ask.
Thought you were done with me today, huh? You know, I saw this on your agenda and you said the Avenue 12 location. Well, boy, I'll tell you what, that's really wishful thinking to think this high-speed rail thing is going to get done, right? So you're spending through grant, whatever it is, $400,000 to engage a consultant in services for the preparation of a plan. Is that actually doing the plan, or is that just preparing to do the plan?
That is a plan. Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's probably best to allow the public their 3 minutes, and then we'll be prepared to respond if the board has any.
Yeah,
questions.
that's fine.
All right. Well, my concern is this. First of all, if you look at, go along the 99 across the San Joaquin River, you'll see a bridge there. And on the bridge is all kinds of artwork that's been painted on this multi-million-dollar bridge. Most expensive piece of artwork in the nation. All right. Are we going to build a station when there's years and years from having a train? Is this just a plan to be on paper, or is this a plan to actually build it? That's one question. The other question I have is, would this money be better spent to solve our other traffic issues? We have bridges and everything that need to be done, different road configurations that need to be done, that Caltrans could better serve Madera immediately with, instead of waiting 20 years for a train to get built. I mean, it's like we need things done now where we need them done. This is so far in the future, and I'm on Avenue 12. You probably want to put it on my property, but all the same, it's too far out into the future.
Yeah, just to address for some time, the relocation of the station has been decided. The Madera Transit Station for train will be moved from where it's at now to Avenue 12. And why it wasn't done to begin with, I don't know. Who can answer that question? I wasn't on the board when it was decided to be put over where it's at now on Road 26. If you have a question, you have to come to the mic, but the relocation was decided some time ago, and that site has already been procured or is in the process of being decided?
My understanding is they're still in the process of
Yeah.
procuring the property, yes.
And anyway, that just to give you a few answers to your questions that a little bit that I know about it. And they are planning, this is a plan for a station, so this would be the plan itself. Anyway, any other questions for Jamie or any comments from the public? I don't see anybody coming forward. Anybody online? Okay, bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion is made.
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it not only serves as the high-speed rail, but the Amtrak station.
Discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution of support for staff to enter preliminary discussions related to the Trade Port California JPA.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joel Begay, County Administrative Office. The resolution for you, before your board today is to basically give authority to staff to engage in the preliminary discussions and formation of the JPA. Just to, for those that aren't aware of the Trade Port is just a series of logistical centers up and down Central California that feed the two major ports in Port of LA and Port of Long Beach. Given that we're the ag capital of the world, we also have the most heavily traveled freight facilities. The goal of Trade Port at the state level is to create these green transit corridors for freight that benefits our region, that decongests the ports and basically ensures our supply chain in California and in the United States. So staff's available for any questions you may have on this resolution.
Yeah, just to give a little more information, I met with the proponents of the Trade Port, and this is not just a state effort. This is a private effort as well to establish 4 basic inland trade ports that will be feeders to our ports and will create also opportunity for, which it's obviously, whether you agree with it or not, we're headed in a direction of EV, and electronic vehicles are imminent. It's going to happen in California. So we need to be positioned to embrace that some logistical way. And these inland trade ports are a way to do that, to have stations, 4 stations throughout the state. In addition to that, I was also told that eventually Oakland will have to become a part of this or will get left in the dust. So the Oakland port will probably end up being a part of the discussion sooner or later. They've been a little obstinate about because they don't like dealing with LA. They want to be bigger than LA, and that isn't going to happen anyway. So majority of the ports are involved, except for Oakland, and Oakland will eventually be part of the discussion as well. They do have state support in the plan. It seems that they're moving forward at a rapid pace. And so they're looking for the county to get behind the discussions as well. These ports will be established logistically and not necessarily politically, if you can understand my meaning there. It'd be nice for us to have one here as a result of being in our proximity of the center of the state, and and in addition to that, in kind of the golden triangle, when you consider the highways circumstance, you got 99 and 152 come together. There's a kind of a triangle that forms there that's a transportation positive. So we hope for the opportunity maybe to be part of that discussion as well. So that's what this is all about. Any further questions or comments? If not, pick it out to public. What's any public wish to comment on this item? Anyone online? I'm not seeing anybody come forward. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Motion made.
I'll second.
Motion made in second. Let's have a roll call vote.
Supervisor Wamhaugh,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes,
Motion approved 5-0.
thank you. 6E,
Discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of anticipated revenue number 22-161 in the amount of $738,560 derived from Madera Rescue Mission triage operating transfers into buildings and improvements for fiscal year 2022-2023. 4 votes required.
All right, good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Anthony Loza, County Administration, General Services, and Jorge Mendoza, Senior Project Manager. So the item we have before your board this morning is a request to approve RUR 22-161 in the amount of $738,560 as a cash flow loan from the American Rescue Plan Act to assist with funding for the site development and construction of manufactured homes for the Madera Rescue Mission Village Housing Project. The housing project will be a means to address challenges related to homeless residing in Madera County and a means to assist them to transition into permanent housing. So on May 11, 2021, your board approved an MOU between Madera County, Madera Rescue Mission, and Community Action Partnership of Madera County in regards to each entity's role in the proposed triage housing project, which would be located within the premises of the Madera Rescue Mission. This MOU allowed the county to apply for the CDBG CV3 funding for CDBG grant funding for construction of the proposed triage center. So on September 29, 2021, the county's CDBG CV3 grant was approved in the amount of $843,595. The grant would fund site development and construction of manufactured homes for the housing project. The manufactured homes would be available to homeless individuals and families experiencing homelessness due to loss of employment, medical issues, skill set, and loss of loved ones, amongst other reasons. The triage center will promote stable living, a safe refuge, and opportunities to promote healthy living habits.
So good morning for Jorge Mendoza. So the units that we're proposing, basically after reaching and considering different manufacturers, one of them being Champion Home Builders, Fleetwood Legacy, and Prefab Innovations out of Fresno, California. The county elected to proceed with Prefab Innovations as basis of design for this project. Each unit is 576 square feet. It has 2 bedrooms. Time of fabrication, it's way faster than the other manufacturers. And then it meets our grant requirements. And then recommendation by Madera Rescue Mission because Prefab Innovations had already done it and completed a project at the Fresno Rescue Mission. These units will have, kind of mentioned already, some kitchenette, a living area. They come pre-equipped with HVAC systems, a heater. They are fire sprinkled buildings, which is water suppression system. And then the beauty of these units, because they are 2-bedroom, they can house 2 individuals per unit if they're single individuals, or can house up to 6 4-person families. Here is for those of you who have visited the rescue mission site, it was tight to find a space, but we were able to locate a space big enough to accommodate these units. They're kind of right in this area where the highlighted square. The rescue mission is located on Clinton Street and Elm Street here in the city of Madera. Here's the site plan depicting the 6 units as it relates to the site and how they're kind of assembled and arranged within each other. One of them is ADA compliant. And then here's an actual floor plan of the units. The floor plan and the spaces are basically set. What can change is the kitchen configuration, if you want to wash your dryer units. And so that's a decision that the rescue mission will take once we visit the site and kind of make the finishes decisions for both interior and exterior.
All right, so this next slide outlines a proposed funding plan for the project. The total anticipated project cost is estimated to be about $1,238,560. This amount includes the total unit costs of $579,000, storage unit costs of $30,000, architect fees in the amount of $68,000, and a 10% contingency in the amount of $60,960. It is estimated that construction costs will be about $500,000. The majority of these costs will be offset by the reimbursable CDBG grant in the amount of $843,595, and the remaining funds would come from a portion of the ARPA funding we're requesting to transfer today. So with that said, staff is requesting your board's approval of RUR 22-161 to assist with funding the site development and construction of manufactured homes for the Madera Rescue Mission Village Housing Project. And if approved, staff will issue an RFP for site development and construction at the proposed triage site and return to your board after receipt of the proposals from interested contractors and provide your board with the recommendation for the construction contract approval. And we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions for?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to thank staff and all of the associated entities that have been a big part of moving this project forward. We started, as was mentioned, a couple of years ago, and I think we would have liked to have seen things move a little faster, but they are happening. And when we look at homelessness, it's not a one size fits all. This is, we saw in the presentation that there's a specific target group of people who might experience homelessness who would be living in the triage center, and the idea would be that they live there no more than 6 months and then move out into permanent housing. So, but for that segment of the homeless population, it's a outstanding thing. And with the Madera Rescue Mission next door, or actually on the property, they'll be providing a lot of on the ground assistance as well as other county agencies. So again, thank you so much for your relentless and hard work. Thank you.
I have one quick question, and I along with Rob, I'd like to just say you couldn't pick better partners or a better project. And I know we were back many years ago when I engaged with the rescue mission. We were trying to get that property behind them or even a community garden, and we just it wasn't happening. And now this miracle of getting this is really a great thing. So I'm really excited about that happening finally. And my question is to staff: Will this improve our circumstances with when we have homeless individuals and we're trying to get them to move on or change their circumstance? Does it add to our available housing for that circumstance? I know you have to have a certain number of units available before you can say to a person you can't cap out.
Yeah, my understanding is that Cap C is going to be screening the residents or the potential residents for the triage center. So they'll be working with them and providing them with the resources that they need. So in regards to your question, you could.
It adds to the inventory of the county, basically, when you consider the circumstances of homelessness in general, and when you're trying to address individuals who are taking advantage of the law, camping out in certain locations. You can't tell them to leave if you don't have those available resources.
Exactly. Yeah. So this will definitely help with that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
That's
Mr. Chairman,
what-
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just my add to that. These units is the county's first low barrier shelter. This is the first step. So as you will see in the presentation on May 2nd on the county proposed strategic plan for homelessness, having a low barrier shelter in the county is the critical first step to getting that path away from encampments.
Right.
It's not enough. So we want to highlight that. It's not enough, but it's a critical first step. So
I think it's great. Excellent. And knowing building like I do, these are, they're not huge, but they're decent. It's not going to be like living in a closet. Pretty nice. I could live in something like that. So, I mean, that's saying a lot. I'm pretty picky. So, anyone else have any comments?
Yeah, Chair, I just had a quick question.
Go ahead.
I think in the backup, it says that there's 6 single units and 1 double unit. And then later on in the backup, it says there's 6 double units. So I was just hoping to get some clarification on what we're installing.
Yeah, so that was the original grant application. So the reason we changed is because the initial units were single bedroom, which didn't allow with the compact space. It only allowed you to have, say, one individual per unit, whereas these units, one of the reasons we went, we're dealing with the tight space already. These same units can almost double or triple the original amount of people that we're trying to house with the individual single bedroom.
We have 6 doubles.
Correct.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Very wise move. In my estimation, I think it's very, very smart to get the biggest bang for your buck. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you guys with these affordable housing type projects. I mean, the numbers can be astronomical. I mean, in California, for each door, it could be anywhere from $400,000 to $750,000. So thank you guys for being diligent, looking outside the box, and getting this done at the dollar amount that you guys did.
Yep, Mr. Chair, may I add to that?
Go ahead.
So, thank you, gentlemen, for all this hard work. And I think this is a great example of the county and the different entities that are working together with the city, our other agencies. This is definitely something that we could submit for a challenge award when the time comes, because I think it's such a great project. And with that, I'd like to make the motion to approve.
Excellent idea. Excellent idea. And thank you for the motions. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Any comment from the public on this item? Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff.
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes,
Motion approved 5-0.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for a thorough presentation, staff. Very good. Let's see. 6F.
Discussion and consideration to amend the class specification for emergency services technician.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Roman Noriega, Human Resources. The Emergency Services Technician is an extra help position that requires a Fundamentals of Emergency Management certification, IS 230D. The letter designation was recently changed from D to E, and we are recommending to remove the letter designation from the class spec since it's often amended by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the certifying agency.
Okay, any comments, questions? Sorry about that. Okay, if there's none, take it out to the public. Any public comment? Bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion made.
I'll second.
Motion made in second. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Wamhoff.
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley.
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes,
Motion approved 5-0.
thank you.
Thank you.
Roman. Item 6G.
Second reading to adopt an ordinance amending chapter 9.11 of Title 9 of the Madera County Code related to smoking.
Hello.
Good morning. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Good morning. My name is Tiara Munoz, Program Manager for Madera County Department of Public Health. I'm just here for the second reading and any questions if anyone has any.
Okay. Any comments on this item? Any public comment? Now I'll
I'll
bring
move
it
to
back to the
approve.
board.
Second.
Motion made and second. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley.
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff.
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes,
Motion approved 5-0.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. 6H.
Sorry. Second reading to adopt an ordinance amending sections 10.35.070 and 10.35.080 of chapter 10.35 of Madera County Code relating to speed limits.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Jared with Public Works. This item before you is the second reading for the adoption of an ordinance amending the speed zone ordinance for the county. Based on our recent traffic study and update to our engineering traffic surveys, this would address 13 segments that were reanalyzed for speed limits, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Jared? Is there any public comment on this item? Anybody online? Not bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and second. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Wamhoff.
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress.
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley.
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
I'm trying to help somebody here. Okay, thank you. Item 6I.
Road 5.5 Bridge Replacement Project at Chowchilla River. Discussion and consideration to enter into an agreement with a G in the amount of $1,518,499.50 for construction of the Road 5.5 Bridge Replacement Project at Chowchilla River and authorize the chairman to sign. Discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the road commissioner or his designee to issue the notice to proceed in accordance with provisions of the contract. Discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the auditor controller to issue payments for contingencies up to 10% of the contract award amount per established county policy. Discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the road commissioner or his designee to solely issue and approve contract change orders in accordance with the public contract code not to exceed authorized contingencies.
Good morning again, Chairman, members of the board, Jared Carter, Public Works. This item is for an award of a contract for a bridge replacement on Road 5.5 north of Avenue 24. This is the bridge that crosses the Chowchilla River from Madera to Merced County. This bridge is built in 1946. It did have a catastrophic failure back in 2015. It's been closed ever since. We're excited to get this work going and get this thing done and back open. And I will say it's not a highly traveled road, but it is a connection to the county north of us. So, Bill, for any questions.
Yeah, Tim Quillo will be excited out of his head to get this done.
Yeah, one thing I should add too, also, this project is funded by federal HBP money. This particular project, the one that we brought last week was 85 or 88% reimbursable. This one is 100% reimbursable because it's not on federal aid system. Again, this funding will be fronted or cash flowed through our road fund. So our maintenance dollars that go towards road improvements are what we use to fund these projects and then get reimbursed from the federal system or federal programs and various programs once we complete that project and can show those expenditures.
Thank you for the lesson on that. Okay, any questions or comments from the public on this item? Hearing none, bring it back to the board, and I'd like to make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff.
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor Poythress.
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to item 6J.
Discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution adopting the grant rules for the targeted land repurposing program for the Madera Subbasin and to declare the resolution exempt from review under the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA guidelines sections 15307, 15308, and 15061, section B3, as well as the executive order N-7-22 from the governor of the state of California.
Good morning.
Morning.
Jeannie Hobbin, Deputy Director, Water and Natural Resources. And then online, we have Duncan McEwen from ERA Economics. We're going to be talking about one of our land repurposing programs today. This is the Land Flex, which is a targeted land repurposing. And just to remind you, earlier we were having a little bit of a discussion on the MLRP, which is the multi-benefit land repurposing. The multi-benefit, as was mentioned by Christina, is for the whole valley. It's even GSAs, every GSA, all of them.
Every piece of farmland in Madera
All of
County.
We have one called the VLRP, which you've already approved, which is the Voluntary Land Repurposing Program that we put together that was going to be funded by the GSP fee, which is currently on hold because it has no funding. So keep that in mind. And then we have this one, which is we're calling the TLRP because it's a targeted land repurposing. It is rules of the state. So you want to keep this in mind. It's funded by Department of Water Resources. It is short-term land repurposing, and it is by the state. So when you're listening to this presentation, keep in mind, these are all state rules. That's their money. When we can fund our own program, we can make our own rules. But when it's their money, they're making the rules. So you have to, it's all in this presentation.
Right.
Okay. And it's already up there. Okay. I will be hitting the button while Duncan does the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. Can everybody hear me? Sorry, am I coming through? All right. Thank you. Good morning, Chair Rogers, members of the board. This is Duncan McEwen with ERA Economics. I also have my colleague.
He was earlier. Can we hear him?
I am online.
Who's presenting?
Duncan McEwen from ERA Economics.
Okay, Duncan.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Duncan?
Hold on, I think the issue is us.
Okay.
Give us just a second.
Chips.
Ooh. Is there a way we could proceed without Duncan?
Yes, we will tag team Stephanie Nagdison, Director of Water and Natural Resources. As Ms. Haben alluded to, these are the state rules. We'll run through them and then your board can consider adopting them.
Okay.
Okay. So what you're looking at today is the Targeted Land Repurposing Program, or Land Flex. It is a program from the Department of Water Resources. It supports implementation of SIGMA by repurposing lands that were irrigated in priority areas. The program benefits include immediate relief for vulnerable domestic wells, support for growers' transition, and provide funding to growers to implement best practices. The GSA submitted a proposal to DWR in February, and we were awarded the highest grant in the state for $9.3 million. Next slide, please. Duncan says he hears me, and he says, can you not hear me? We cannot. No, he did not say I was doing a good job. All right, Duncan, we cannot hear you, but we might rely on you for some questions. So in terms of the rules, these are from the state. The program requirements, DWR guidelines define the program and require cooperation with a group of technical assistance providers. And those folks are from the Almond Alliance, Western United Dairies, Self-Help, and CAF, which is the Small Farmer Organization, California Alliance for Family Farms. What lands are eligible? It's all of the lands within the Madera Subbasin County GSA. So this is another difference with that multi-benefit grant. That grant provides funds for all of the GSAs. This is only one subbasin and one GSA. Why is it only one subbasin, one GSA? That's where there were the greatest number of vulnerable wells. There are 3 components for payment. They are non-separable, meaning you get all 3. There is a domestic well drought relief water payment of $350 per acre foot of your sustainable yield plus transition water. There is a sustainable yield acceleration payment where you're essentially selling your transition water in all future years, and that's $1,000 per acre foot of your 2023 transition water amount. And then there is a transition to sustainability payment, which is those 3 amounts. It's $250 per acre for row crops, $2,000 per acre for dairy feed, and $2,800 per acre if you're removing an orchard and a vineyard. And I think that really gets at what we've heard from lots of people, which is some of these costs are quite high. If you're doing it on your own, they are quite high. So you are eligible for payments 1, 2, and 3. So this is a state program. We are following their guidance, and we are one of 3 recipients. They would like to open applications sometime this week. So the program timing is a little bit later than we would like. Ideally, we would have known this in the fall, but it is what it is. So in May, we would select and execute agreements with the folks who were rated the highest. And then the April through September, they would begin their land repurposing and we would monitor. So we anticipate doing 2 installments of payments, one in July and one in September. So next steps include continued coordination with the state agency, DWR, as well as the technical assistance providers. They have offered to be the first folks who do a lot of the outreach, which I think makes sense. So in talking with those folks, including the Western Dairies and Self-Help, they already have quite a few contacts of people who are interested. We also have an interested party list of 40 or so farms where people are interested in this program. So we just need to move ahead once the rules are adopted and implement the program. There would be scoring, selecting, and payments, and then we would do the monitoring and reporting. And just to frame this a little bit, we're eligible for this program, and I think Jeannie alluded to it earlier, because we have an allocation and because we have satellite measurement of ET. Those were the conditions that let us be eligible.
Excellent.
So
we did all the right things.
we did all the right things to get this money. So that concludes the presentation. Were we able to get Duncan?
This is Duncan McEwen. Can
Hey.
you hear me? I'm
Yeah,
here.
Duncan.
All right.
So what holes did I leave in the presentation that you would like to fill in, Duncan?
Stephanie, you covered everything perfectly.
She is
we got the audio issues sorted out. So that's great.
Just one question from my standpoint. Will we be aiding in the coordination between the agencies? Or is that something the landowner will have to do?
So let me take a crack at that. So the landowner is going to go on to Land Flex, the portal, and apply, but we are helping find people who are interested as well as get them any technical help that they need with the program.
Good, excellent. Because I was going to say, it would be very onerous for the average property owner to try to navigate all those nuances.
Yes, I would agree. And the technical assistance providers are willing and funded to do that as well.
Yeah, was that removal amount 2,800 per acre?
Yes,
Did
I
see
think
that?
so.
That is an excellent amount.
These are really good prices, and I would say they're the highest prices that you will ever see in a land repurposing program in California.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in taking out land, this is a good program to at least evaluate. Duncan, do you have the website handy?
So the website where the portal will be hosted will be landflex.org. And that's being put together by the technical assistance providers in coordination with DWR. And then I believe it'll also be referenced on the Madera County Water website under the land repurposing page. And I think we already have some text up there referring to this program as we're working on it.
Okay,
Chairman,
go ahead.
what are we doing marketing wise? I'm sure we're reaching out to partners, but can you elaborate a little bit on how we're getting the word out on this?
Sure. So we've already asked for people to get on a list for land repurposing, but the Almond Alliance and Western Dairy are doing podcasts and their presentations at farming events to get the word out. So they've already done quite a bit of marketing, and they also have their own contacts in Madera that are interested. Duncan, do you remember anything else from the last email on outreach?
I think the technical assistance providers are going to be holding more outreach. There'll be some social media posts that they're working on, and they'll be pushing messaging through their, their lists, their email lists in the coming days. I think they've been working on that this week.
And the other technical assistance provider is Self-Help, who's working with communities who have contacts for people who are interested in taking land out.
Great. Any questions from the public on this item? Any comments online? See anybody with their hand raised or anything? I know that Christina was possibly going to comment on this. Okay, so I don't think she's going to. Or make sure she had the opportunity, and she was the one I was texting earlier, make sure she knew I was bringing this item up. So, okay. Any comments, questions from the board? Not, I'll hear a motion.
Move for approval.
Motion made.
Second.
Let's have a roll call vote.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Stephanie, for carrying on. Okay, pending legislation, item 7A.
Discussion and consideration to authorize a letter in support of SB 754 as authorized by the state of California Senator Marie Alvarado Gill relating to communications.
There's someone
Yes,
presenting on that?
Mr. Chairman, I can cover SB 754. This bill would restore support for small rural telephone companies under the California High Cost Fund A program. It's just ensuring that broadband carriers in those hard to reach areas are not left behind in a conversation, that it remains democratic. So staff recommends supporting this bill.
Okay. Is there any comment from the public on this item? If not, bring it back to the board.
Move to approve.
Motion is made.
I'll second.
Motion made in second. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Do you need water?
Okay, we have two added items. One, SB 17, we'll take that one first. Is there any present? Go ahead, Joel.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just in summary, SB 17, in a nutshell, what it wants to do is adjust the 15% that's allocated from the low income housing tax credit program at the state from 15% and to increase it to a percentage to match the older adults population based on the census. What the bill acknowledges is that there's a mismatch in the allocation of the housing tax credits, which encourages developers to build affordable housing. but it's not aligned to the number of older adults that are housing challenged. So what this bill proposes is to increase that 15% via methodology that aligns it more and adjust as the census reflects more older adults that are in need.
Right. And it's only going to get worse too.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, any comment from the public on this item? Not bring it back to the board.
Move to approve.
Motion made,
I'll second.
motion made and second. We'll call vote.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Okay, and the next item was, I'll let Joel handle that one. I forget the number
Yes.
on it.
Mr. Chairman, it's Assembly Bill 412 sponsored by Assemblywoman Soria. This is a ratification of a letter that Chairman Pro Tem Robert Poitras has already signed. I just want to remind the board that your board supported this in a letter to the governor in draft form, AB 412. It's an emergency loan to struggling hospitals, specifically born about the crisis we have with MCH. Staff recommends supporting the bill to move forward.
Okay, any comment from the public on this item? Bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion
second.
made, motion made and second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Wamhoff,
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras,
Yes.
Supervisor McCauley,
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Supervisor and staff reports, Mr. Supervisor McCauley.
Yeah, I did the Raymond Parade on Saturday, which was a great event. Probably 400 or 500 people out there in Raymond, which I think just about doubles their population size. So great to see all those folks out there just celebrating, a great community. And then after that, had the opportunity to go visit one of our Firewise communities up in Eastern Madera County. If the board recalls, we designated some of our Title III dollars to the Firewise Madera program. And CRCD, Coarse Gold Resource Conservation District, has been able to form just about 20 Firewise communities. Since that time, we're coming in, providing them with additional resources to help keep those communities safe. So thanks to the board for all their support up there and just a great weekend.
It didn't rain like last year?
That's right. No rain this
That
year.
that was an amazing deluge all at once on the parade.
It was a
So
lot of
everybody
fun.
loved it.
Yeah, yeah.
Supervisor Poitras.
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay, I have nothing to report. Supervisor Wamhoff.
Yeah, last week, Supervisor Gonzalez and I went up to Sacramento for CSAC Ledge conference. Got to learn about many important topics that are happening around the state. And it was also a great opportunity, especially me being so new, to interact with a lot of the other board members throughout the state and create those connections, because those connections really help you out in this role, and being able to bounce those ideas off peers around the state is super helpful. On Saturday, Supervisor Poitras and I, well, he's on the board of the hospital, but we toured Madera Community Hospital, and there were multiple people present, including 3 state assembly members. But it was good to just tour the hospital and see what kind of condition it was in. I was actually quite surprised to see how clean everything was still, and it appears that everything is turnkey. But obviously there are a lot of steps before anything that can happen. But it was good to at least, put your eyes on the property and see what kind of condition that it's in. And that'll be it.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yep, thank you. Yesterday I attended the Central Valley Education Coalition. It's a 6-county consortium with that's led by I think Superintendent of Schools, and we were updated by their lead lobbyist on different legislation that's occurring in Sacramento and the impacts on local school districts. So it was great, very informative. Also, the lead speaker was the California First 5 executive director, talked about the importance of the first 5 years, which I happen to be the chair of the First 5 commission. So very informative, really great Also, April 26th is Denim Day. So I believe the county has always participated in Denim Day, and it's a great public awareness campaign to fight the stereotypes against rape. So I encourage everyone to wear denim on April the 26th, which I think is next Wednesday. And again, like Jordan, Supervisor Wamhoff said, we attended CSAC. Great, great information, great to network, and I have lots to discuss now. As one of the main talks was the at-home program for homelessness. So like we talked about earlier on the homeless, our program, what works here in Madera doesn't necessarily work in LA or some of the bigger counties, San Diego. And so it was, CSAC is leading the effort to push for the at-home program so that local jurisdictions can create and have their own programs, because it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
That's right.
So really important. Hopefully we can have further discussion on that later on.
CEO, AO,
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Deputy Council or County Council?
No report, Chairman. Just a reminder that there are still closed session items.
Yes, thank you. And clerk. Okay, thank you. We might as well dispense with our closed session item, and then we can be free for the rest of the day. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll report out.
No reportable action from your closed session.
Okay, with
Thank
that,
you.
this meeting is adjourned. I'm ready to sign on a, go right here.